On this episode of Mythic Existence, we are going to investigate 5 obscure American monsters. First up is the Pope Lick Monster. Legends say that a part man, part goat, part sheep lives underneath a railroad bridge stretching over Pope Lick Creek in Louisville, Kentucky. This creature has come to be known as the Pope Lick Monster. It is said that the creature hypnotizes people, or even uses voice mimicry to lure people onto the train tracks and to their eventual deaths. Some stories say that the Pope Lick Monster jumps on top of cars passing underneath the bridge, or that it will attack with a blood-stained axe. The very sight of the creature is supposedly so horrifying that it can cause people to leap off of the bridge. There are several theories regarding the origin of the Pope Lick Monster. The first is that it was a circus freak that vowed revenge after being mistreated. The second is that the monster was being transported on the train and escaped after it derailed. The final and perhaps most unsettling theory is that the monster is the reincarnation of a local farmer that sacrificed goats to Satan. What is most unnerving about the legend of the Pope Lick Monster is the very real death associated with it. In 2016, Ohio tourist David Nee and his girlfriend Bane were on their way to Waverly Hills Sanatorium, a renowned haunted site, for a paranormal tour. Bane had read about the Pope Lick Monster and convinced David to take a detour to the bridge. David was under the impression that the couple were just going to stop for a picture, but Bane had other plans. She held out her hand and started leading him across the bridge. All of a sudden, they heard the sound of a train barreling towards them. David jumped to the side of the bridge and held on to the metal structure. Bane was not as lucky. She was struck head-on, blasting her 80 feet to her death. This sort of acting out of a legend is what folklorists call legend tripping, also known as ostension. Legends, by their very nature, are open-ended and offer people the opportunity to enact the legend and assume their own role in a sort of proto-drama. In the case of the Pope Lick Monster, this act of ostension had deadly consequences. The man-goat figure has other, much older folkloric and mythological origins. In Greek mythology, satyrs are male nature spirits thought to possess useful knowledge, such as the Greek god Pan. They were often companions of the god Dionysus and were thought to inhabit remote locations, just like the Pope Lick Monster. Baphomet is a half-goat, half-man deity thought to be worshipped by the Knights Templar. The widely spread image of Baphomet from Eliphas Levi's 1856 The Doctrine and Ritual of High Magic shows the goat man with binary elements, depicting a balance of opposites. Goatman's Bridge in Denton, Texas is also reputed to be home to a demonic satyr, and was featured in an episode of Ghost Adventures. Next on the list is the Flatwoods Monster, a humanoid entity said to have been sighted in the town of Flatwoods, West Virginia. On the night of September 12, 1952, Edward and Fred May with their friend Tommy Heyer witnessed a bright object flying through the sky over the land of farmer G. Bailey Fisher. After reporting their sighting, several locals went to the farm to investigate what the boys had seen. When they got to the top of the hill, they reported seeing a pulsing red light. One of the men present, Eugene Lemon, reported seeing a tall man-like figure with a round red face surrounded by a pointed hood-like shape. UFO writer Gray Barker wrote in the Fortean publication Fate magazine that the figure was approximately 10 feet tall, with a round blood-red face, a large pointed hood-like shape around the face, eye-like shapes emitting a greenish-orange light, and a dark black and green body. Witness Kathleen May said that it had small, claw-like hands, clothing, and a head that resembled the Ace of Spades. The group said that the creature glided towards them, hissing and emitting a pungent mist. Some of them reported being nauseated. The sheriff investigated the site, but found nothing. The next day, the Braxton Democrat reported skid marks in the field, which UFO researchers said pointed to a saucer landing. However, a local boy named Max Lockard admitted driving to the site. There are several theories as to what happened that night. Skeptics theorize that what was seen in the sky was a meteor, that the red light was an aircraft navigation beacon, and that the creature was an owl. Flatwoods has embraced the monster to a certain extent. They have erected chairs that serve as visitor attractions, and the legend is highlighted at the annual Flatwoods Days festival. The sighting ended up gaining national traction and prompted a U.S. Air Force inquiry as part of their Project Blue Book program. The cultural context of the time may do some work to shed light on the encounter. 1952 was a time when new bombs were being manufactured and fears about the Soviet Union were rampant. This accelerated fears about new strange technologies and led to the creation of paranoia and anxieties with a tinge of science fiction. Next on our list is the Batsquatch, a hybrid creature featuring characteristics of both a bat and a Sasquatch. The being is reported to have piercing yellow eyes, blue-tinged dark fur, razor-sharp teeth, a wolf-like muzzle, bird-like wings, a broad, muscle-bound torso, and bat-like wings that span up to 50 feet. In April of 1994, a young man by the name of Brian Canfield found himself in a sticky situation. His car died while driving in Pierce County, Washington. Out of nowhere, a huge creature with the wings of a bat and blue fur landed right in front of him. 25 years passed without many Batsquatch sightings until 2009, when hikers near Mount Shasta, California, witnessed a gigantic flying being protrude out of the mountain. Then, in 2011, witnesses saw a creature flying in the sky with what they believed to be a 20 to 30 foot wingspan. There are some theories to what Batsquatch is. The first is that it came out of Mount St. Helens during an enormous eruption of 1980. But like the other monsters covered, there may be a more folkloric explanation. The citizens of the Northwest have adopted the Batsquatch as somewhat of a native son. Oftentimes, communities choose to embrace their monsters as it gives them a sense of regional pride. The fact that Batsquatch is linked to Mount St. Helens and Mount Shasta is not surprising. Like Mothman, Batsquatch has become a sort of mascot. But the similarities between Mothman and Batsquatch don't end there. There seems to be an almost inherent drive to recapitulate old monsters and folklore into new roles. Stories of flying creatures are indeed quite ancient. In fact, in the Mothman Prophecies, the book by John Keel that launched the creature to fame, the year of Mothman's reign is called the Year of the Garuda. In Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism, the Garuda is a sacred flying being with anthropomorphic features. Perhaps Batsquatch and Mothman are part of this ancient mythos. Our next creature hasn't led to any tragedies like the Pope Lick Monster or Mothman, nor is it based off of a sacred being like Batsquatch. But if you happen to be traveling down the road in Loveland, Ohio, you may just catch a glimpse of a mysterious amphibian. That's right, we're talking about the Loveland Frogman. In 1955, so the story goes, a businessman ran into a group of reptilian creatures on the side of the road. These beings looked like large frogs, some 3 to 4 feet tall, and were covered in leathery skin with webbed hands and feet. According to legend, as the man began to leave, one of the frogmen pulled out a wand and shot sparks out of its end. Fast forward to 1972, when an anonymous police officer was driving along Riverside Road just after midnight. He noticed an animal on the side of the road, but was shocked when the creature approached his vehicle and revealed itself to be a frog-like being, again in the 3 to 4 foot range, weighing what he judged to be 50 to 75 pounds. The creature jumped aside and disappeared into the Ohio River. 2 weeks later, a police officer by the name of Mark Matthews noticed an animal laying on the pavement. As he approached the creature, it hopped up and got into a crouched position. The officer pulled out his gun and reportedly shot the reptilian being. Some reports say that the officer took the creature in, and it was revealed to be a lizard owned by a local. 44 years later, during the fateful summer of Pokemon Go in 2016, Sam Jacobs and his girlfriend were playing the game in Cincinnati. They were taken aback when they saw a huge frog-like creature. However, it was revealed to be a person in a frog suit. What someone is doing dressed as a frog is just as mysterious as Frogman himself. Folklorist Edgar Slotkin of the University of Cincinnati has likened the Loveland Frogman to Paul Bunyan, stating that the sightings follow predictable patterns. Like the Flatwoods monster, the original sighting of the Loveland Frogman came in the 1950s when Soviet fears were growing. Perhaps our fears were projected into the dark and uninhabited rural roads. Likewise, in 2016, the Pokemon Go players were already in an excitable state while looking for near supernatural creatures hidden in some ethereal realm. But most likely, the Loveland Frogman is just a lizard. Our final creature is the Ozark Howler, who is said to haunt the hills of Arkansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, and Texas. Typical descriptions say that it looks like a bear with black shaggy fur, red eyes, and horns growing out of its head. It is said to let out a terrible yell that sounds like the mix of a wolf, an elk, and a hyena. Reports of the Ozark Howler date back to the 1800s in Missouri when Daniel Boone is said to have faced off with the creature. Reportedly, Boone shot at the Howler, but did not fell the beast. Recent sightings continue to trickle in, for example in Newton County, Arkansas in 2011, and in 2015 at Devil's Den State Park. There are both biological and folkloric explanations for Ozark Howler legends. Some believe that the Howler is some sort of mountain-dwelling animal, such as the mountain lion, that has mutated into another species. However, wildlife officials say that there is not a breeding population of mountain lions in the area. Other theories purport the Howler to be a giant wild boar, a bison, or a member of the creodont family. However, folklorists liken stories about the Howler to British folklore surrounding the dark dog of death, such as the Grim or Black Shuck. Similarly, the Ozark Howler has been thought of as a dark omen that predicts the death of those who see it. On top of all that, it was revealed that a college student was hoaxing cryptozoological researchers with faked Ozark Howler sightings. America is a land full of monsters. Some may be real, some may be imaginary, but they can tell us more about ourselves than perhaps we'd like to know. Please be sure to like and subscribe. Follow Mythic Existence on Instagram and Twitter, and catch weekly podcast episodes on all streaming platforms.